Hi everybody, welcome to Khong Driving. We are in Langkawi Island and this is the all-new Toyota Vios. It is a much bigger car, wider and longer, but most important is the wheelbase is now 2620mm, which is 70mm longer than the previous model. And wheelbase refers to the space between the center of the front wheel and the center of the rear wheel. So therefore it means the cabin space is now much bigger. And what does it translate into? It translates into more room for you, especially leg room for the rear passenger. Okay, let's take a closer look at the car and we'll start with a very brief walk around. So looking at the front, it really looks nice and the car is nice and low. It's I think a little bit over 1.4 meters tall, and along the sides you see a very coupe-like rear end, and this gives the car a more sporty demeanor. So the lines are very nice with accent lines along the side, so it makes it a bit more angular rather than just having a boring rounded shape. So this shape looks good. At the back you see a little spoiler over the boot and lights that are more attractive, and is joined by this little bar between the left and the right. So the overall impression is very good. At the bottom you have a little diffuser, and there are also some aero fins here for aerodynamics. And this is what the car looks like. It looks great, doesn't it? And we'll take a look starting from the front, and this is a closer look. You get LED lights, and down here there's a very interesting item here. These are aerodynamic devices, and you can see there's actually a gap to the inside of the fender, and what it does is it helps to channel air over the tires to reduce the turbulence. Now if you want to go a little step further, you can also do a brake cooler duct starting from that point, yes. And elsewhere you have LED lights, and this car, yes, it does have the auto headlight, and this is a feature that helps you to not dazzle the people in front. Yes, it will auto dim your lights. Now elsewhere, I like this very macho looking grille. Now overall the car is wider by a little bit, and it's low enough to give it a very nice front silhouette. Yeah, that gives it a wide stance, and so it looks really sporty. And down here you have a little black lip that really accentuates it very well. So there's a very good play of black and white. Yes, this car happens to be white, so it looks very good. I've seen the red and blue ones and they look just as good too, but to me the white one seems to be the best. So that's the front, and let's go along the sides. The tires, there's a change from the previous model. These are 17-inch tires, and so the grip will be very much better. Yeah, handling will improve. These are 205 50 series R17s, and they are Continentals, so we should be able to test it later when we go up the mountain, but this looks pretty good. Yeah, so front suspension is McPherson struts, and you get ventilated disc with a floating single pot caliper. So the ingredients are good for performance. And then from the front you see, of course, the lip and a body kit that stretches along to the middle part of the car, and it goes all the way to the back here. And yes, what do we see? Again, it's 17-inch wheels, but you also have a solid disc. The rear suspension is a torsion beam, and yeah, this is a carryover from the previous model, but I think they have done some tweaking. And at the back here, you have a little kind of an arrow fin here to help guide the air around the back of the car. And up here you have LED lights plus a little mini spoiler. What really gets me is the little diffuser at the bottom, so that helps the airflow. So again, we take a closer look at the coupe or fastback-like rear rendering of the roof. I think here it starts to go down a little bit earlier, so you might sacrifice a little bit of headroom, but I think for overall looks, the car is really great. Now, just as another point, the new Vios is 110 kilos lighter than the previous one. So therefore, it is technically faster, yeah. And because it's lighter, handling is also changed. And so we are really going to test the car out later today. And of course, one day in the near future, we want to take it up Genting and give it a go. So once again, we look at the side profile of the car, and I like it. Okay, the heart of the car is of course the engine, and this is the Toyota 2NR engine, 106 PS and 138 Newton meters of torque. According to Toyota, it's a carryover from the previous Vios, and the power is actually reduced a little bit, maybe because of the plumbing. But what has happened is that the acceleration is actually about 2 seconds faster in a 0 to 100 time because the car is so much lighter. Yeah, so guys, if you want to go fast, lose some weight. So let's take a closer look. That one is a CVT transmission, and this is an all aluminum engine, aluminum block and aluminum cylinder head. So the mounting is of course transverse, and this is with dual VVTi. That means the inlet and exhaust valves are variable timing. And of course, for those who are living in the Kuala Lumpur area, we need to see where is the intake. And you can see here, this is how the air goes into the engine. This is the air cleaner, and from the air cleaner is what you call the intake pipe. And here is the height of the intake. Actually, it is just underneath the front grill here. So therefore, if you are going through water, well, I wouldn't advise you to go through any deeper than the height of this number plate or half of this height. So translated to here, I would say it's about 2/3 of the tire. However, when you are going through flood, make sure you walk through it first, yeah, because what looks like level water in front of you could mean a dip inside there which you cannot see, and if your car goes beyond the depth and the water gets sucked into this inlet and goes into the engine, you are kaput. Yes, so that's something to remember. And of course, for those who are familiar, you will know that this is a front-wheel drive car, yeah? Now, back into the construction. So you can see that the construction of this body is totally different from that of the previous Vios. You can see that this is actually built on the DNGA platform, which Toyota shares with Daihatsu. And here is the front strut, and the main strength of the body is actually in this structure here, which means the fenders and all are just bolted onto the body. So it's part of the cladding only. So the main strength of the car is here, and you can see there is welding. The strut is connected to the other side using this bar, and you can see here it is connected to the main frame here, and so that makes the car very rigid, and that should already be a reason why this car will handle better than the previous one. And looking at it from the side, you will see that the engine sits just in front of the front axle, so the weight distribution is better. The front part of the car is actually just to carry the radiator and the fan plus the aircon radiator. Yep. Okay, next we will look at the driver's compartment, which is very important, and we get into the car. Okay, so for cars in this category, one of the most important things is to be able to get in and out of the car easily. So let's close the door and we will start the engine. Yes, it's keyless start. The key is already in the car. Press the button with your foot on the brake and we have started. Okay, here's the instrument panel. There are many views you can have, types of display, and this is a 7-inch monitor, and this is a 9-inch infotainment monitor with Android Auto and Apple Car friendly, and it's wireless. Now the steering wheel is this is about 12.5-13 inches, so it's a very nice size, and there's something new here in this new Vios which I like very much, okay, which is you have up, down and in, out. Yeah, so now you can get that elusive ideal sitting position. Yes, so let's lock it, and then here's another feature that I really appreciate, and that is the pedal shifters. Look at it, man. You have two pedal shifters here, minus and plus. So some people call it the plus minus, and it's really good. Okay, the transmission is of course the CVT, and here you have your P, R, N, and D. Plus is when you go to D, there is also a push to the right, and you get your plus minus here if you want. So it goes to 1M, 2M, you know, as you go. So you can have your manual shift here or your manual shift on the pedal shifters. Now there's another thing here I want to show you. Normally you go to D, then you push to the right, you get S, which is a sport mode. Yeah, so this is S, which does a bit of change to the tune. Plus on top of that, you also have a drive button here. So this is the drive button. You press the drive and you look at the meter, you have power and eco mode, and then it says on off. Okay, I'm going to press it again. So if you do a short press, you go into power mode, which is here, and you do a long press, it goes into eco mode. So somehow you got power and eco mode at the same time, so I think you have to turn off the power mode by pressing the button one more time, and there you go. So you have power mode, eco mode, normal mode, then you have S mode on the transmission itself, and when you go into pedal shifters, you are on manual mode. So that is very good. Now the other feature that's interesting is now we have electronic parking brake, and then we have the auto hold. Now what's good about auto hold is if you're in gear, okay, let's go into gear first. Okay, if you're in gear and you have the auto hold on, now there's a safety here. Brake hold unavailable, seat belt is unbuckled. Wow, this is safety. So I have to buckle my seat belt, and now we're going to see whether my good friend will affect it. Okay, so it doesn't matter if the passenger is not bolted in. Yeah, he's my cameraman there. Is it? There's a magic man there. Mr. Sim, actually my good friend. Yes, Mr. Sim is helping me to hold.
Not wearing seatbelt. Door is open.
Yeah, so it does work with auto hold. Now, what does auto hold do? If you are in gear and the auto hold button is engaged, you will see the word hold there. Now, when that happens, you can take your foot off the brake, and the car will not move when you're at traffic light on a slope or anything. This is to relieve the stress on your foot, okay? And when you want to move, all you got to do is step on the accelerator and the car will move. And the next time you come to a stop, your foot is on the brake, you see the whole light on, you take your foot off the brake, it will hold. So that's what it does, it holds your car. Many other similar cars have it, but only the higher premium ones lah. So further down you have your engine start stop button, aircon louvers, and this is climate control, digital control for the aircon. It's single zone, yeah. And then you have your seat belt warning, 120 watt 12 volt power socket. Then at the back here you have a wireless phone charger. I'm not sure whether it is optional or standard, but it's here in the top spec and you can have it if you want it. Then here's a very new feature. This is the ambient light feature. You have 64 colors to change the ambient light. So in terms of the dashboard, you have, this is hard touch, this is soft touch, and this is hard plastic again. So it is quite attractive, and I like hard plastic up here because it will just last longer. I'm trying to rebuild a car that is quite old, and the plastics have all, rather the soft touch items have all kind of like melted, yeah. So I now begin to appreciate these hard plastic parts. Now on the steering itself you have your controls, and this also controls the safety items. Yes, this car has got your pre-collision system, which also includes autonomous braking. It has your blind spot monitor, it has your adaptive cruise control, it has lane departure warning and lane departure prevention plus lane keep. So actually it can make your car follow the center of the lane quite well. It helps you with the steering. And then of course there is also front vehicle departure warning, and that will tell you if the car in front of you is moving off, it gives you a warning. So in case you're on your phone, okay. Of course you also get rear cross traffic alert, and on top of that you also get your traction control and all the other stuff that are with the car as standard. As far as airbags are concerned, there are 6, okay. So there's 1, there's 2, and another 4 on the back. Okay, some other new feature along the side, you get this Vios, and this Vios word lights up in the night. Seats are leather bound for the G-Spec, and they are quite comfortable and hold the body quite well. Now the interior has a two-tone color. I'm not sure whether you can see it, but this is kind of a light brown, and then this is dark gray. So if you look at the side rest there, you can see it's two-tone, and the overall effect is really quite good. Seat controls are mechanical for both sides, and that includes a height adjustment for the driver. Okay, here's getting into the rear seat. Nice. Okay, the first thing I noticed is, yes, because of a 70 mm increase in the wheelbase, it is now 2620 mm long for wheelbase, and that is 20 mm longer than the Honda City, which is 2600, I think. Okay, so that means I'm sitting here in my rear seat here, and this is my default position for driving the car. Look at it, man. I have about 7 inches of knee room, and what they've done is they have done a very good job with the seat here. They have made this height very high, and so I can put my shoes inside there and relax. Very nice. And the rear headrest has adjustable height, and it's very comfortable. Now, for a B segment car, this is a lot of space, but in all honesty, it is now a B segment that is growing bigger and bigger, and soon it will replace the C segment. The trend with car makers is that they always make the next generation slightly bigger and bigger, and then there will come a time when the smaller car will take over the place of the bigger car. Yep. So in the same way, the Vios is growing. So this is like a infringing into the C segment space already. So that's very good for the consumer. You get a B segment car with C segment space. And here you have the aircon louver, and at the back you have two USBs. One is Type C and one is the normal USB. What I like about this is the little bottle holder or drink holder here. So you can see here, it's really nice. It will be very good for family use. Yeah. And on top of that, you have, of course, your rear seat pockets for you to stick your handphone in while you're charging it. And in terms of sitting position, this car is meant to take 5 people. But as in most cars of this size, even the C segment, to be really comfortable, you should actually sit only 4 lah. And yeah, okay, it doesn't have a center armrest. I suppose that's also part of the weight saving, and of course it helps to keep the cost of the car down, because one of the challenges that a car designer faces is how to keep the cost competitive and how to keep the cost affordable. So it's not only about building a car well, it's also about having the balance in the package so that people can still afford it. So like it or not, this is a car for very entry level, non-national make, I suppose, you know. So this is the type of car that a buyer of a Myvi or an Axia or a Proton, Iris or a Persona would move up to. Yeah, so that's why they have to keep the price decent. All right, so up here there's also a little rear view camera. I'm not sure whether it's optional, because mostly for Toyota models this is an optional item which costs you a couple of $100. And finally, the roof lining is one piece, and here's another step up. We'll have the dome light here, and also the dome light for the front are 2 individual ones, and it's very nice. You press the button, it's on off, yeah. And this is the door for off and on. So this is the door light on. When the door is open, the light comes on. So we keep it off. So that's about it for the interior of the car. So far, so good. Oh yes, and I forgot to mention, this is Mr. Sim's favorite. This is the oh my God handle. Yeah, so if you are in the car going up Genting with YS-Khong, well, the rear passenger can hold 2 and say, oh my God, oh my God. That's just a joke. All right, so far pretty good. So looking at the boot, this is 475 liters, so it's quite big. Now, in the effort to save weight, the spare tire has been removed. So this car just has a tire repair kit, and also for future of electrification, they explain that removing the spare tire is a very logical move. Another thing that is also not here is the fact that there is no more 60-40 split seats. Now this is also to contribute to the weight saving exercise of the car, which is why it is 110 kilos lighter. And then you look at the back here, the extra reinforcement on the top there that makes the body more rigid, and that means better handling. So in the boot itself, there are some extra compartments This is where the spare tire used to be. And if there is a hybrid version, I suppose that's where the battery will be. But you have your secret compartment at the back here, which is quite big and you can put quite a bit of stuff. Yeah, here's where you put your gold bars. All right, guys, so that's our very quick take on the Toyota Vios. It's going to be launched tomorrow because we are releasing the video one day before. So make sure to attend the launch online or offline. And of course, if you need to buy this car, you know that YS Khong Driving sells it. So what you need to do is go to shop.yskongdriving.com and book your car now, because that will put you ahead of the queue. And if you have any questions or anything you want to ask me, free consultation at 016-335-0609. So that's it, guys. I hope you liked our video. Please let us have your comments below and we'll take this up Genting very, very soon. So stay tuned. Bye.